The Australian Crunch Muck that will never end. So, welcome aboard to this very special episode. Sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. What is Grunge Match that will never end? Let's find out right now. Here we go. Before we begin deeply into this special edition of the BJ Show about the Australian Grunge Match that never ends, make sure you subscribe and like. Much appreciate. All your support comes through this channel with any sporting edition. This is exciting. Let's start this journey. Here we go. This more than a football game. This is a blood beer that has defined a natural. It's an animal three-pointed civil war where workplace friendship are ended and their families are split down a state line. This is state of origin, an event so and blended in the Australian festival. It's known as the explicit principle of rugby league. That's what we are here for this episode. Well, but this level of hardest wasn't just born overnight. Absolutely not overnight. It was forgiven of injuries, baptized, impure Britain and passed down through the continents. This is a story of reliable revenge and never end, as I mentioned at the beginning. So, how did a simple game become Australia's greatest glory match? Well, let's get on to a bit more info. So, to understand the haters, you have to go back in time before the famous decade in state rugby league was a completely joke. The rule was simple. You play for the state where you club based. But New South Wales was their White and Sydney clubs acted like a complacent giant simmering pointing Queensland greatest players. Imagine that you are watching a small town brighter than the sun getting hard-headed by a rival company, only to be sent back, crash their home, like their original home or old home. After years and years, the Queenslanders what their own heroes in that sky blue jersey of New South Wales, heading their own state, a one humiliated defeat after. The business fears it was a one-side fight, was one team had its hands tied behind its back by the late 1970s. Instead, hard, complaint, and of all, when the two state played in 1980, a heart-filled crowd of just 1,300 people, both thrown to show up. Something had to change in the justice of birth of reality, and this is selection of one. The solution championed by QRL presented Rob McFarlane rode a once-off exhibition match where players were respected states of orientation. The state were the first play single football that Sydney media laughed it off, calling it the non-event of the century. They saw Queensland saw a chance for justice. On the July 8, 1980, the state was set at Brisbane's Long Park. The moment that changed everything happened before the game even kicked off. Queensland was led out by Arthur Beetson, living legend, who been forced to play 18 games against his home state. Now at 35 years old and pulled from reserve grade. He was finally home wearing the Maroon jersey. Early in the match, Beaton led his own Plantation Club teammates. Mark Collin was a bone rating tackle. That message was a dictated of war written. I've been bruising tonight. The club loyalty means nothing. This was a birth of maintain day against day, mate against mate. In spite a Queensland Fire side played with passion missing for decades, they were 2010 an upset that sent stock waves through the Australian sport. A 20-year-old Chris Close was named man of the match. A close man was man of the match, but very high bloody to every Queenslander who felt cheated by the old system. All right, there we go. Let's continue on with this amazing, what I have totally researched, this amazing history. So the explosion method was a resorting successful after another one-off match in 1981. The full three-game state of origin series was the official born of 1982. The Garden finally had its commotion. We are now at to select to the decade of dominance and destriction. The 1980s began with a Queensland storm led by the men they called the King. Wiley Lewis, the monster was documented. Lewis wasn't just a player, he was the monster. Popularization of Queensland team that moved to his ribbon. He captained the Morrisons in 30 of his 31 games, winning a record 8 man of the match award, which is incredible. Queensland won the first 2-4 series in 1982 and 1983, building a Donson formation on per passion and Lewis maintained comment of the game. But the tide turned in 1985 when New South Wales finally broke through the series win. Their overwhelmed captain Steve Mortimer dropped to his knees and kissed the Sydney cricket ground turf in a now icon moment of sheer relief. The Blue blackened it up with the first ever 3-0 clean sweep in 1986, but Queensland, fueled by that familiar sense of injustice, came rolling back to win 3 straight from 1987 to 1989. The new 90s saw a golden era for the New South Wales, coached by Phil Golan and led by Garden of legends like Larry Daly, Ricky Stewart, and Brad Fittard. The Blue assisted their own brand of domination, winning their 3 competition series from 1992 to 1994. The rivalry had become a rampant tug of war. The 1991 image of a rain stop. Willie Lewis snorting nose to nose with the New South Wales NSW in Fort Hood. Mark Gary preferably captain the raw emotion. This was no longer just a sport, it was deeply personal. Then came their destiny. After a period of the Blues successful in the early 2000s, Queensland unleashed a run of domination unlike anything seen before. From 2006 to 2013, their Morris won 8 straight series for the New South Wales NSW. It was like punching a brick wall that rebuilt itself stronger than every single year. The era began the dreaming trailing late in the 2006 decade. Queensland captain Darren Lockie sneaked a losing pass, it's so painful, and scored the winning touchdown try. It was a moment of pure NSW heartbroke the kick-off decade of pain. This Morris team, future Cameron Smith, Jonathan Philford, Billy Slane, and Greg England played with an almost televised commentary unbeliever finding ways to snitch a victory from the jaws of defeat and shattered Blues Hut. Well, we come to select three, which is the modern granted New South Wales finally shuttered that year streak in 2014, unleashing a tidal wave of pure relief south of the border. In the years since, Penrith has swarmed back and forth by the weight of the designated still fuse every single contest it be goes that punch every stadium. For the Blues, every series is about pulling. They're no longer in Queensland shadows. For the Moons, it's about defeating a legend. The model game are no less prudent than the rider has simply invaded the open blues of the 80s have been replaced by Cold War forfeit in velocity, warford and surgery, bone jolting hits. The pressure is heavier than ever. Every series adds a new body chapter and new heroes, and the villain forget overnight. The 2024 series, just recent, was a perfect example. After dropping the opening game, the New South Wales stormed back to win that net 2, claiming that they got Brisbane to take the shattered. But Queensland, as they always do, come back with a victory. The 2025 series saw the Blues with the opening in Brisbane, putting the Mons on the brink. In a classic comeback, Queensland caught the Nets 2 away games to claim the decade and the series, proving once again that you can never, ever write them off. Tom Dillon, a standout for Queensland, captained the state, relies in spirit, and was named player of the series. Across officials, Queensland has won 25 to New South Wales 17, which is 2 drawn series. But those numbers don't tell the full story. They don't capitalise the feeling of the state holding its breath as a kick sails towards the post after the siren. They don't expect the roar of 80,000 people that feels like a physical force, and the century don't explain why for 3 nights a year. Everything else in Australia simply stops. Well, we do come to the end, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you'll enjoy it. From the born-up foundliness of the old system to the birth of legend in Arthur Beetson, from the regular of King Relive to questioning the weight of the 8-year designated, every chapter has poured on history and meaning onto the next. It's a show of hot lid rolling down the hill forever. 40 years, getting bigger and more unstoppable with every season. Satan Origin is more than a game because it's born from glory, fight for respect. It's a family heirloom of animation passing down the throne and warm into Australian very NDA. It's the graded map that will never end. What's your most unforgettable state origin moment? Was it a miracle try? Is it breathing hit or heart-stopping finish? Share your memories in the comments down below. And if you love the stories about the world's greatest sporting rivals, make sure you subscribe and turn on that notification so you won't miss our next video or in very future. As well, give it a like as well. Very important. Thank you so much for your support and all listening to this amazing storyline about the greatest rugby sport of all time and what the rival's about. So that's now all. I'm signing out and we'll see you very soon. All right, BJ shows out. Bye for now. Peace.